Cultural diplomacy, from my experience, was very useful in the period when we were, as a state, we were applying to European Union. So, firstly, I would like to thank Mark, to you and all organizers for inviting me to this beautiful conference. And I wish to be in future also with you. Thank you. So, preparing this presentation for this panel, I have been thinking what is connection between future of European Union, future of Southeast Europe, and cultural diplomacy. But obviously those three topics are interconnected. Let's start from the fact that the European Union suffers severe crises: security crisis, economical crisis, political crisis, institutional crisis, democratic crisis, and all other type of difficulties connected to development and success of European Union and member states. Before the Ukrainian war and before Trump's new mandate, I have published an article claiming that present model of EU already reached its limits, and without transformation, EU is going to decline, even be dissoluted, and maybe disappear from the world map. Without reform and transformation and more integration to the United States of Europe, Europe shall not only lose its image of the most successful global peace and economical project in history based on human rights and the rule of law, but even become a failed project and disappear as a relevant subject of international scene. Being aware that idea of more integrated EU does not have support among politicians, also not in public opinion of member states, I named project of United States of Europe as a utopia. But I dream that utopia, and I will invite you to join that dream with me. This thesis was that due of lack of coherent politics of member states, especially in the field of foreign and security policy, and due to inefficient institutions, EU cannot compete with the United States, Russia, China, and even BRICS. The war in Ukraine and the re-election of US President Donald Trump have underscored the crisis of the European Union and exposed weaknesses in management, development strategy, and defense capacity of European Union. The lack of common foreign and security policy within the European Union, along the strength of other distinguished disintegrative factors, namely, among others, the rise of extremist political parties, the intensification of anti-European sentiment and nationalism, has dramatically amplified the evident crisis. These weaknesses foster skepticism towards European unity and jeopardize the future of European Union, celebrated as the world's most successful integration project. It appears evident that only by strengthening its cohesion and institution, both democratic and functional, can the EU aspire to a status of great power capable to protect our interests and to cooperate on equal basis with the United States, China, Russia, and other emerging, particularly Asian states, for global peace and welfare. Globalism and multipolarity in the contemporary age was considered as a basis for international relations. But unfortunately, it looks now that we are facing very serious and dramatic changements. According to Fitch Solutions and their analysts, three scenarios for globalization from 2017 to 2030, there are three possible future scenarios for globalization. First one, globalization continued, and this should be called the Great Revival. Second, globalization will be changed to formation of regional blocks. And third, globalization comes to end, the great stagnation or the great turnaround. Unfortunately, in accordance to President Trump's policy, the last scenario looks most likely, including further weakening of international law and international organizations, including United Nations. Especially in that case, it is of crucial importance of European Union and its members to reach the status of superpower. But for the European Union to truly be a great power, it must undergo a significant transformation. So what are scenarios for the future of European Union? There are 5 concepts for our future outlined in white paper on future of European Union, edited by European Commission in 2017. Summarizing, there are 5 slogans characterizing 5 concepts. First concept is carry on. A vision of European Union current state being petrified with the status quo as the key. Unfortunately, I think the last events on international scene show us that it's not possible. It's simply not possible. Second concept, nothing but a single market, is a serious back step, reducing the EU's common functions solely to common market. It's also something that I don't think is good for Europe. Third scenario, Europe of different speeds. That means there are 2, 3, 4 groups of different position countries in European Union following reforms under their capabilities. Probably someone will claim that it's a good solution. I don't think so, because it will create too much differences in European Union, and it will make first, second, third, and fourth class of states in European Union. And of course, the fifth scenario, which is declared as some kind of we would like or we would not like, is doing much more together. The only scenario that objectively paves the way for the concept of the United States of Europe, which much stronger integration. The darkest scenario is undoubtedly that the European Union collapse, in which Europe becomes strategically marginalized in various forms. So, can the European Union be a great power or not? Without going into all details, it must be said that EU has strong prerequisites for being a great power or superpower, and it's clearly demonstrated by data regarding population of EU and size of European Union, its territorial magnitude and natural sources, the integration and operational efficiency of its institution, possible integration and operational efficiency of its institutions and governance, its economic strength and quality of life, in possible united armed forces in terms of manpower, technological and operational capabilities, then in scientific and educational potential for further development and stability of its society and political system. However, in each of these areas, the European Union also has serious weaknesses that can only be remedied by strengthening its institution on democratic principles. So there are many open questions about future development of European Union. Are we going to more united society, or we are going to dissolute back? But there are some questions I would like to underline. One important issue is mentioned several times, it's expansion of European Union to Southeast Europe. Countries in Southeast Europe feel insufficiently addressed, neglected and excluded from European integration process, and we need to open our doors more. Especially neglecting those countries open the other big powers, Russia, some other countries, to influence the area of Southeast Europe, and definitely it will be not good for European society. So definitely we need a very clear criteria. We have to create support, clear mechanism how to support countries of Southeast Europe. And of course, without fraudulent policy like it was the case with Northern Macedonia, when North Macedonia delivered everything that was asked for that beautiful country, and at the least it was fooled by European Union. So I claim for decisive and very honest policy towards all countries on the Southeast, of course, having in mind that they have to fulfill a legal and political requirement, and they have to be aware of that fact. So, what is possibility of transition of European Union to the United States of Europe? In 2010, the Spinelli Group was established in the European Parliament. It actively championed the revival of the idea of federalizing the European Union by creating a network of citizens, think tanks, non-governmental organizations, academics, writers, and politicians who support a federal and united Europe. Prominent supporters of the initiative include some important politicians and public personalities. For the United States of Europe to come into being, it will need almost everything that characterizes national states. Strengthening of European institutions and their leaders, including enhancing their democratic legitimacy, it is very important. We need European constitution, a common foreign and security policy, European army, a Eurozone and Schengen area across entire territory, a unified development strategy, the strengthening of European identity, and that's very important, and diplomacy is very important for this process, and harmonizing of educational system and European research. The advantage of United States of Europe far outweigh its disadvantages. It is essential, however, to ensure that no national state loses its identity, cultural tradition, and sovereignty, because, as Ulrich Beck suggests, further integration must acknowledge the undeniable diversity of Europe. The European identity should be complement to national one, much like as a cosmopolitan identity. So what does it mean? That means I will be forever Croat, you will be Slovenians, Macedonians, Serbians, Bosniaks as well, but again, Europeans. Also European, Montenegrins as well, of course. We share our identity, we shared identity before, and I hope we are going to share it in Europe again. But it's not easy task. It's not easy task because there are many obstacles on the way to integrated Europe. So for these obstacles, I call it utopia. Above all, it's growing Euro-skepticism, a weak European identity among EU citizens, and the attitude of many politicians in member states, aptly summoned up by Croatians saying that it's better to be first in the village than the second in the city. It's a matter of power, it's a matter of power games, and unfortunately now today it's an important driving mechanism of our politicians and politics. So what about cultural diplomacy? How it can help? So there are some important tasks, and I think the cultural diplomacy in the European Union should widen European identity as complementary to our national identities and to promote the idea of united European states. There are two levels of cultural diplomacy. First, at European level, European Commission should have coherent cultural policy due to show that European culture is unique culture, not only as a sum of national cultures as undivided part of global European culture, but also cultural space deriving from European identity. Also, European identity should be promoted by other activities, especially sports. If I were commissioner, I will claim that Europe should have European team at World Championship in football. In that case, my favorite team will be Croatian team, and second team will be European team. And I think that many people should have or will have such approach. On national level, states should act to approve national culture as common cultural achievement. Also, cultural diplomacy should help to resolve bilateral problems, and I have experience in that field. In 2010-2011, there was a big dispute between Croatia, Slovenia was involved as well, with Italy about so-called OSIM agreements. It was agreement after the Second World War between Yugoslavia and Italy, how to handle problem of Italians, mostly expelled or voluntary, went to Italy from Istria. Istria is part of Croatia, but of Slovenia as well. And then there was agreement between, there was first stage of this cultural diplomacy organized by President Danilo Turk from Slovenia, President Napolitano from Italy, and myself. We started with a concert in Trieste by 3 music academies from Ljubljana, from Trieste, and from Zagreb. It was huge concert, very well followed by media, and always showing that we can make our relations better, that we can understand each other. And we put flowers to monument of killed Italians, later Slovenians, Croats as well. And that was good basis how to resolve the problem. Then in second stage, it was Slovenia was satisfied what happened, and then President Napolitano and myself, we decided to resolve completely dispute between Croatia and Italy, because there were some aspiration from small part of Italian political scene to present part of Croatia as part of Italy. And then we organized a big meeting in Pola. There were many Italians of origins from Istria coming to this event. We had also our veterans from the Second World War, and they had meeting, they agreed on principle together, of course, with the governments, and then finally we had a big concert of Croatian and Italian music in our arena. It was transmitted by national TVs, and then President Napolitano and myself, we read our common declaration in Croatian and Italian language, claiming that our dispute is resolved, and then we can continue our very friendly relations. Yes, we have very friendly relations with Italy today. Of course, I did my best to have the most correct relations with all our neighbors, including Serbia, including Bosnia and Herzegovina, including, of course, Slovenia. We had always excellent relations. Yes, we had some territorial dispute, but it's not hot. Like also our dispute with Montenegro, also without border dispute with Serbia. It's not hot. We know that we don't agree completely, but definitely it's not problem how to build our relations, and this problem will be resolved sooner or later, finally, I think, on common satisfaction. So, cultural diplomacy, from my experience, was very useful in the period when we were, as a state, we were applying to European Union. We had very big activities, very important activities on cultural level to present Croatia as part of European cultural space. We organized many exhibitions, many concerts, and we also invited European artists to Croatia to show that we are really part of Europe. And it was very successful, and it contributed to our effort. And the result was that then Prime Minister Lady Jadranka Kosor and myself, at the end of 2011, signed accession agreement, and we became a member of EU from 1st July 2013. And also, it's very important, I would like to stress, this whole political scene, left and right, right center, left center, two biggest parties, HDZ, Croatian Democratic Community, and the Social Democrats, agreed and worked together to reach EU membership for our country. And finally, I have to say that cultural diplomacy and enthusiasm by artists of all kinds, music, painting, literature, theater, contributed to those efforts. So, being big optimists on future of European Union, I claim and support all cultural activities to promote European idea. Now this cultural diplomacy should show to member states and to European Union in whole that we have a good future just more united than we are today. So I invite you to dream this utopia with me, and I'm very sure that sooner or later we'll be all together in united Europe. Thank you very much.